City of Keystone Heights special meeting, council meeting this evening. I appreciate you all being here. Ms. Silva, can you please give us a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. And for time's sake, everybody is present.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
There is one. Mr. Scott Slater, would you please step up?
Thank you. I apologize for Vivian and I not making your regular council meeting, but today, members of the St. John's Water Management District staff brought equipment, and we shot elevations at Keystone Beach. So if you cross the bridge on the pavilion, you'll see stakes starting up from the water line. That is what's going to be considered your new low water level. The next stake is the mean water level. The third stake is what would be considered the high water level, based on what they believe the pipeline replenishment will be once the lake starts receiving that water. That also gives me the elevations I need to finish the design for the dock, so we can submit a permit application to DEP to get that approved. Vivian is diligently working on additional funding for that project, and so we're doing very well. I believe we'll have more information at your next regular scheduled meeting, and we'll continue, Vivian and I will continue to come make those updates. I was unaware of, there is a Water Management District datum marker right at the pavilion. So if you walk down that left-hand side, there's an aluminum disc about 2 piles in. That elevation is at 101. So your new normal water level is at 100.9. So almost to the top of that disc will be where your beach water line will be as the new normal once the pipeline has done its job in filling the lake. Your new high elevation is at 102.9 based on the modeling from the district. So you can figure about 2 feet above that disc. So that gives you, it'll be about 5 piles back on the pavilion, looking at the grade right there. So I know that's a very popular question for the public to ask, where's the water going to stop? The last stake that I put in on the other side of the spillway was what's considered the 100-year floodplain. That is 106, so that would be a significant flood event, massive hurricane. Keep in mind, your lake, Geneva, discharges to Oakfield Pond at 104, 103.7, I think is where the discharge actually is. That being the case, you're never going to see that watermark. The water will be crossing 214 pavement level before you would ever get to that 106. So that gives you some reference as far as where the water levels will be as a result of the pipeline. Once Brooklyn's full, once the Lake Keystone's full, once Geneva's full. Thank you. Any questions?
Brooklyn looks good right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does.
So I did not look at the data, just knowing the history. I would guess that Alligator Creek after Hurricane Debbie is flowing at about 10 million gallons per day right now. It's about as wide as it's been for a long time.
I went that way today.
Yep, and you have to keep in mind there's about 2 miles of pipeline left, and so we fully anticipate by the end of September we'll probably have the pipeline done. They're saying about 2 months of testing. We think we'll be seeing 7.8 million gallons of water by the end of the year.
Yeah.
What about the tree removal on Geneva?
So that we're working on that diligently. We're running out of time. You can see trees already starting to die around the perimeter. We have a couple meetings lined up with additional people to present. Solo has put together some documentation that shows lake levels back in the 1950s and no trees. And those trees, DEP has given a little bit of pushback on harvesting trees below the high water mark. So there's nothing in paper, just some verbal conversations. So we're pursuing that diligently. Again, the timber company, once they get the green light, 2 weeks, they can have it the way it needs to look for water level. So,
can we help you at all?
We'll get back to you on that. I believe that poking DEP from all levels is probably going to be the benefit to everybody. We have some Solo members that are private citizens that have property that are significantly impacted by the mature trees. And so we've put presentations. DEP can't ignore the public. They have to listen to their comment. And if you look at statutes, part of the statute, they have a right to view with their being a lake dweller. And so right now their view is obstructed. And so we have good ground to stand on to get that corrected. And we will keep you updated. Vivian and I will attend your regular meetings every month, and we'll try to keep you updated on both of those projects as we go.
Thank you.
I have you on the September 9th meeting already, so I'm happy to hear you say that.
Okay. Yep. All right.
And for our city clerk, it's really important, those levels. Can you make sure those levels are in the minutes?
Absolutely, lake levels in each minute, not a problem.
The median level, the low level, the high level, the 100-year mark, when it outflows to Oldfield Pond, all those levels for Lake Geneva.
Is there a spot that I can find this so I can get a
So I'll
reference?
let you make a copy of this. This actually gives Brooklyn, Little Lake, Keystone, and
I'll do
Lake
that
Geneva.
right now.
So-
Here, thanks. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And I'll be glad to do that for you, Councilman.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate
Can I ask
it.
her a question, or can the public ask questions in response to the presentation?
If it's all right with the mayor.
Sure.
Sir, can you tell me approximately, for the average that you described, how much higher is that than the current lake level?
So the current lake level measured today was 94.17 feet. And the new norm, she took the paper, but it's at 101 basically. So you're looking at 7 feet deeper than where you're at today will be the new norm.
Thank you very
For
much.
Geneva.
Wow.
For Lake Geneva, that is correct. You have Brooklyn as well? I do have Brooklyn, yeah. So Brooklyn, the new, Brooklyn pops off at 104, and pops off at 113. Let me look at the numbers.
We'll make multiple copies of that.
Yeah, I get it.
She's coming back right
All
now.
right,
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
yeah.
You're awesome, thank you.
Okay, next we have the pavilion rental alcohol request that we have a application for. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the request. Did y'all get a chance to review it?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
I didn't, was
It was
it
in
emailed?
It was in the packet.
It was in the
agenda packet.
on the
Okay,
computer.
that's my fault. I didn't pull it up.
It's for a wedding reception for 5 hours or for the $500 if they're going to pay to rent.
Yeah.
I'll make the
pavilion.
motion to approve the pavilion rental.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is allow transfer or personal time off, PTO, and sick leave between city employees. I would like to entertain a motion to allow the PTO and sick leave transfers.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion, comments?
Second time we
I'll
Second,
discussed.
sorry.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, who seconded?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any comments?
I think this is, in today's time, I think it's very beneficial for this city to offer this to any employee that comes to a point in life that they need some more time off than what they already accumulated, so. And hats off to the employees that are willing to give up their time.
I'll just make a comment, the way the current personnel policy is written, if you're with the city for 15 or more years, you get 6.5 weeks of vacation time plus sick time. And we really need to look at that policy, and I know Charlie is doing that right now.
Yes, sir. And in fact, I gave that to you to read, that I'd had an employee working on.
Yeah.
That is not your current adopted policy. I thought
Oh.
it was at the time,
Oh.
finding things here. That is the city of Orange Park. She went and got one that she thought was better and started.
Oh.
So you're not quite that generous with sick
Okay.
leave. I've been here a little over 6
Okay.
months, so it's about 2 weeks off the first 5
Okay.
years and about the same amount of sick leave the first 5
Okay,
years.
so we just need to look at that and make sure we're in line with normal standards of time off. That's all.
It's a little exuberant, huh?
Oh, my goodness. I wish I would work for any company that was like that, but no, that's not normal.
Any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is our 2024-2025 budget draft. Charlie?
So, you all have before you a draft of the 2024 budget, and this is the very first draft. It's green at the front, first page is all the income. I left this in the same format that the city had for the previous years, and I've had discussions with our CPA, and so each of these numbered lines is your chart of accounts, and I was wanting just to condense it, but the CPA and the auditor are saying, don't do that, leave it like it is. So that's why it is, and I'll let you guys discuss. I would like to direct your attention to the very top line in income, the $410,000. That is based on your current mill rate. I believe I emailed this to you in the last couple of days. I did the current mill rate and that value.
Yeah, well, you did.
Mill rate of 4.1 and that value, and then the rollback rate is 3.95. And if you roll it all the way back to the rollback rate, that would mean your property tax bill that you paid last year in dollars and cents would be the exact same as this year. So you have a choice on where you land on the mill rate. You can tell me whatever mill rate you want. I just gave you 3 examples. Oh, I apologize. And I wanted to give you, I know it's a lot to digest, and we can meet again before September 3rd if you need more time than tonight. What I'm giving you now is all the city's assets as of 31 December in your various bank accounts and CDs. Just that's the fullest picture I know how to present to you.
What's September 3rd?
That is our first public reading of the budget. We have to have 2 public
Okay.
hearings on the budget. So those are scheduled for September 3rd and September 16th. The 3rd is the Tuesday night after Labor Day. So the first Monday is a holiday this year.
Right, and I thought we changed the council meeting to the next Monday.
We did, so the regular council meeting is on September 9th. There's a statute with a lot of timeline data to do with the budget. And I didn't want to have that crammed in with a regular meeting, and want to make sure if we pass the budget on September 16th, great. If you guys say no, Charlie, go back one more time, we could schedule yet another meeting before the end of September, which
Okay.
is the end of the fiscal year.
Can we talk about this for a
Sure,
second? Okay.
yes.
Is there anything that stands out, Charlie, from the previous budget from last year that we need to be aware of, like more
Yes, sir.
money into a certain
Yes, sir.
category?
So if you go to your list of bank accounts I gave you, the city has $384,237.95 of ARPA funding, COVID relief, things called American Relief Act funding. So we got some additional guidance on that as recently as yesterday. We already knew it had to be obligated by December 31st of this year. And they're like, you can't just say what you're doing with it, you have to obligate it, document it, sign a contract, have a signed PO, etc. And each city or county in Florida, each governmental entity can transfer up to 10 million in ARPA funding, which you have less than $500,000, into your general revenue line as income replacement. So instead of getting into each RFP and each contract, the way I've showed this budget, the last line in the first section of the budget. I'm proposing we transfer it into the general revenue account. I'll document that with the U.S. Department of Treasury and the state and everybody that's got to be documented with. And at that point, all of the special projects I've mentioned to you, tennis court, basketball court, pickleball court, Geneva Jungle, picnic tables, furnishings, and I've got another list when it's appropriate of just things to show you how that 384 can be spent. So that wouldn't be a reoccurring income, nor would these expenditures be reoccurring every year, but some kind of catch-up things.
So what do you want us to decide tonight?
I want you to tell me, hey, I like the way this is, or I want you to put more money in events, or I want you to cut something. So the way I approach this, I took the last 3 years of incomes and the last 3 years of expenditure in each line, and I averaged them. And then I took year to date, we've gone through 10 full months from October 1st of 2023 to July 31st of 2024. So I took that 10-month average and extrapolated it out to 12 months. So every line you have in here has a rationale behind it, but I wanted to keep the format exactly the same as what we've provided you the last 2 years' budget that you guys asked for a couple weeks ago, so it would be an apples to apples comparison. But I can go to nauseam with you line by line on a bigger spreadsheet.
So there are literally thousands of ways you could have done this. And I want to apologize to you, we don't have a strategic plan. You don't have from us guidance about what we want to see happen in this city. And so I apologize personally. I've been trying to get a strategic plan done so that you would have better guidance about what you should plan for. And so I'm sorry, we can't give you better guidance than that.
We can't do it any faster than we are, and you came on council recently. The clerk and I came into this position recently, and the infrastructure might have been great for 1995 or 2004 or something, but it's not quite to 2024 infrastructure. So we're building the airplane as we're flying it a little bit, but the good news at the end of the day is you're very well off. My predecessors have been frugal. All the money's accounted for, and you have money to do the kinds of things. I've heard you all say things. We haven't drilled it down to a strategic plan, and that would be helpful. So one of the things I upped last year, I think, was $30,000 budgeted for city engineers. I'm putting in this budget $70,000. I plan to unattach us from our current city engineers with the 30-day out clause in their contract, and get us some better, more present, more accurate folks, which that'll go out for a RFQ, request for qualifications, so that we can get some people that actually enjoy coming to Keystone Heights, participating, providing us good estimates, which, anyway, that needs to happen. So I did up that. I've suggested to you guys, three of you voted on it a couple of weeks ago, going into the Florida retirement system. That's an ordinance. It requires 2 readings. You'll have a second reading September 9th. I've suggested to you and given you a rationale for salaries and hourly wages at the various levels, and you've approved a salary schedule. So I think we've done the smart, practical things to keep our city staff from just rolling out on us, which was a problem. Everybody that comes to work now is happy to be here, and I don't hear too many angry people leave when they come by and visit. So I think this is a good base document. A year from now, I'll be able to talk more intelligently, and you'll have more input for me, I'm sure.
Well, in support of Dan's comment about strategic planning, I totally agree that we need to do that. But really, we had to walk before we run. when you started in January, with basically 2 or 3 employees, full-time or part-time, during the previous 6 months. We've increased that salary base to over $200,000 and added another 5 or 6 full-time employees. So that's been a big hurdle. And I think before we really know strategically what we can do or how we want to do things, we really had to have the right staff in here with the right focus, with the right vision. And so now it's up to us to try to come and, backload that with what our vision would be as we go further and, look into some discussions, specifically toward end of the year to 2025, I think. I think we have some great things going on that we want to do. We just have to figure out cost, grants, funding, a variety of things. So I think everybody's done a great job and have really moved mountains in this year so far.
I would tell you, the thing that makes me the most happy right now is that your projected income is 1.6.5 million, and your projected expenses are 1.4 million. And so it looks like we have a budget surplus of $175,000. Am I reading that wrong? Look at page one.
I'll bow to your arithmetic. I did the math on my phone. Tiffany
Okay.
did it for real. I came up with 184, but I'll take your number.
Okay, either way, something like that, $175,000, $185,000 surplus. And now let me link that to our millage rate. Okay, the difference between a millage rate of 4.29 and 3.95 is a $39,000 income difference.
Yes, sir.
Maybe 40,000 if you round it up. So if we do a full rollback, so not a single person has an increased payment in town for taxes, we would lose $40,000 out of our $180,000 surplus.
Correct.
We still have a $140,000 surplus, and no one pays a dime more in taxes, in property taxes. Personally, I like that. So my vote, my preference, whatever, is to do a full rollback. 3.9512%. $40,000 is $40,000, and we've got it. We also have a great status. Thank you so much for this, our asset list of $3.1 million total in checking and CDs. We don't need to build a lot more, and even with the full rollback, we're still building. We still have $140,000 extra. So it's not like we've got to get more money out of the people. We don't need to do that.
Yes, sir. So, depending on what projects you do, give me authority to execute, to include the streetscapes, which we have renderings, not real designs. I'm kind of really looking forward to getting a new city engineer that has a good architect in their repertoire and getting you guys real designs. And then you've got a little over $1 million in infrastructure dollars already liquid in the bank between your checking account and CDs for infrastructure. So there is money to pop off with some of these projects wherever the 5 of you land and direct me.
This is awesome.
It is.
It really is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the citizens want too, so.
Yeah.
Can I throw something out about engineering?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It is hard to find people that stay with companies nowadays, and I think the last couple ones we've had for engineering firms, that's been a big issue. They come in, they throw up this pretty picture for us, and I'm pretty much sticking with the streetscapes, and then people they go other places, they get more money. You can't blame people for that, but we're stuck holding the bag on a project that I personally would have liked to seen finished a couple years ago. But that would, I don't know how you go about doing that, Charlie, but when we go, in looking for a new engineering firm, kind of see what the stability is of their employees that would be working on our projects.
The stability?
Stability,
Okay. I'll look at that with the ability. The ability that I've had demonstrated to me so far, I find lacking.
and while I'm yakking, there's a couple things on the budget that I'd like to see. And one thing is, we've got a huge thing happening with our centennial celebration. And I know we gave a couple years ago $1,500 for seed money to get them started. I think that we need to put there's a zero in here, so I would like to see us help them out some, because here's what, and this goes with any kind of organization. To do anything, you got to go knock on doors. And me personally, being a business owner, it's hard to write a check for fundraisers and stuff like that. And that's what these people are going to have to do in order to do something for our city. And I think if we got, like Dan says, we got plenty of money, I think we need to put some money into that budget line for that.
I agree.
Mr. Hart asked for 5,000, and I haven't had a chance to even sit down with our CPA to show her this budget, because I was still drafting it
Yeah.
4 or 5 o'clock
They're gonna be doing something.
earlier. And I just need to figure out how to add that line in the chart of accounts. They asked for 5. You're the city council. Your city's turning 100 years old. If you tell me 10 or some other number, we can land anywhere that you guys want to land. And then that goes to the Friends of Keystone. They design stuff. They execute it through their nonprofit. You're not orchestrating the centennial celebration, but you are appropriately helping fund it with people that live in the city and already pay
It's
the
going to
taxes.
be, it's going to bring a bunch of people to Keystone,
Yeah.
and I know they're working with tourism and Clay County and stuff, getting some money from there. But I personally, my personal opinion, you can take it or leave it, we're the city council, it's our city, and this is a big, big deal.
Yeah, only happens with them once in every
Yeah,
100 years.
I'm not gonna be around the next go around.
No.
So, I think we need to look and put something in there.
You got a number in mind?
I would definitely do 5,000.
Oh,
I don't have
I'm
any
saying more like 20 or 25.
100?
No, 20, 25. I mean, they're planning to do something pretty much every month. They know they have some of the other organizations in town that are going to lead in some of those roles. But we want them to be able to have the flexibility to make it a really nice event. And I know they're currently got some things going on to raise some money, but they're struggling, it's hard.
It's a
Just
hard
like
time,
Just
yeah.
like Tony said. And, we're all going to benefit from it. So if we have the money, I don't see why we shouldn't support it. I mean, I would say like 20 or 25,000.
Do you want a motion, or do you just want a consensus?
Anyway, you guys
give me
feel uncomfortable with that?
consensus, you're going to vote on this budget after a public hearing twice. So a vote's coming. Tonight, I'd
You're just getting
appreciate your
input.
feedback as to what I left out that you
Thanks
want
for
to see.
catching that, Tony.
I'd go with the mayor. I'd say 20,000.
How do y'all feel about that?
And then if you put it in the budget, and if we change our mind, we can not vote for it, but, I mean,
We will be held accountable for how
Oh,
this
yeah.
money is spent, so we would want to have some insight on what they're using it for.
That's exactly what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Dan. I mean, because we're just gonna hand them 20 grand and say, here, you do what you want, and then we're all disappointed with what happens. Well, I mean, I think that we should, I mean, I don't know what they're planning, I have no idea, but I think we should have it.
No, absolutely. And I don't see it being any different than like Heritage Commission. They have their 7,000 or whatever they spend a year. And so when they get ready to do an event, they submit a proposed budget for what that event's going to cost them. And then that money is supported because of their arm with the city. And, and I don't see us, we could certainly ask them to create that as well, like specifically we need to track it. I mean, we can't
Almost
not
like
track
an
it.
event request.
can't we do it like we do,
Exactly.
Save Our Lakes? We put it in the line item, and I don't think we stroke y'all a check.
No.
Y'all, if you have a project, you come back to us, and then we vote on what,
That'll
yay
work.
or nay.
So could we do this then?
That'll
Maybe
work.
on September 3rd, I think Ginger South took over the Friends of
Yes.
Keystone.
Yeah.
have her just come talk to you guys, present, say, here's what we got starting New Year's
That's a
Eve
good idea.
at the airport through the end of 2025, and then if you guys feel good with 20,000 in the budget, you just vote the way I'll have the budget prepared. If you redirect me to go up or down from there, then I'll do
You know,
that.
all the citizens are going to gain a benefit from doing that on some level. And it is going to bring folks to town, because I know the Clay County is going to be promoting it, and other areas as well.
And I apologize, what was Miss Ginger's last name?
Soud, S-O-U-D.
S-O-U-D, thank you. I'll make sure to get her on the September 3rd agenda.
She inherited that when I became city manager.
Let me just ask you as a tiny minor administrative thing. In the header,
Oh,
it
yeah.
says July 2023.
I just saw that.
Would you please change the header?
Yeah.
Make it August of
I got you.
Right
2024.
here, the one you just gave us?
On all the
Oh!
pages. It's the header on all
I'm
the
sitting here, I'm
pages.
looking at my agenda and I'm like, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
No, no,
I
it's
looked
on
at
the
it,
budget
am I
stuff.
seeing
Okay.
things?
Up here it says July.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the.
Good catch, I looked at it.
I'm glad you made comment. I had just noticed that.
Got it.
Okay.
And then after the meeting here, before we meet again, I'm going to go through it with a fine tooth
I am
comb.
too.
But I think that Tony's suggestion is awesome. I don't see anything else at the moment that I would change.
Okay.
Well, I'm impressed, because we upped the payroll by quite a bit.
Yeah.
And look what's going on. It's great. You know, I think it's a great place to be. There's a lot of cities that can't say that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really proud of that.
I heard a great presentation recently, and a guy from the private sector was talking about his work with government, you know, city and county managers. This whole thing moves at the speed of trust. So I don't think any of y'all should beat yourself up, and hopefully you won't beat me up. We're all just really getting to know each other, except for me and Mr. Brown. We've known each other all day.
I remember when you were a wee little lad.
Hired me anyway.
Any other comments right now? Okay,
Okay. We'll hold what we got until y'all tell us different.
okay. Next is special event. Charlie?
So, yesterday, I talked with you guys all last week about a film crew brought to us through the Clay County Tourism Division, and so they went down, took an RV, took a dog, filmed a commercial about a medication for a pet, and that all happened on your beach property yesterday. Bo Wright got down here about 5:45 in the morning. It was an all-day affair for a 30-second commercial, so that was a good thing. They donated $1,000 to us for our fireworks. Hopefully that'll help make a draw of Keystone. We can play it on our own social media channels and show people what a beautiful beach property we have, and if your dog needs arthritis medication, then you know one of the best ones.
No gator.
So I just wanted to let you guys know that that already did happen. We put signs on the beach gates, put it on our Facebook and website to say, hey, it's gonna be closed. I would have felt worse about doing that before school started, but I think it was just something we needed to work through, a middle of the week kind of issue.
And the gates were promptly opened at 6 PM, so well before dark, so people could
Yeah.
still enjoy it.
There's all kinds of comments on social media about it. I'm like, simmer down, it's okay, it's
Yeah.
okay. We're going to be open soon.
I don't re-comment on those things because I get kind of nasty.
People just like to vent.
Yep.
Next, city clerk evaluation. So Ms. Silva has been with us almost a year in December. Has done an incredible job, I think, from starting from scratch essentially in the role and developing the role for our support in the city. I think you've done an outstanding job. You came to us with a request to consider your salary and some of the conditions of your contract. So I did look into a lot of detail, and so I know that we're going to have an evaluation period for you soon. So you all did see a copy of what a city clerk performance evaluation, which we're going to be creating one for Charlie as well, that I did create. Or I didn't create, actually, Mr. Commando created it, used it for Atlantic Beach. But what I did was I made some edits to make it applicable to us in this particular role. So what I would like to do here is that we look at this performance evaluation content, and this again is matched up to what's in Stephanie's contract. And the way the contract reads is evaluation once a year, and then looking at cost of living increase, which is something that we can all talk about at that time. So the first thing is that you all are okay with this performance review material, the content. Do you all have any comments or any changes that you would feel that are necessary?
Not at this time. I mean, I just got handed this, so I don't see anything wrong with it so far, but may I ask, what is the city clerk performance eval from Atlantic Beach?
Okay, so we didn't have one here in the building.
Right.
So I went and Googled, and ironically, I came across the one they use at Atlantic Beach, because it's public information.
Okay,
And that was my template to use as a guide.
okay, so
In
this is the
talking,
guide.
yes, and so I recreated or adapted this one to fit us, took some things out of that one that we don't apply. And ironically, I talked to Rich yesterday about this, and he said, yeah, I created that document when I worked for them. So I was like, wow, really? That's hilarious. So, I'm all about recreating the wheel here. Let's see if we can use something we can find. And I really like the way this thing is formatted. Because, so the way this works is we identify the evaluation period, which I think we need to talk about. But each council member does the evaluation on the employee. They submit it. Charlie is our HR manager and overseeing our HR department for the city, which we really have never had an HR manager. We can't really justify that role. So we each submit our evaluation of Ms. Silva, and then he grabs the scoring and combines it and averages it based on the 5 of us and our input. So that becomes the score for that particular area of performance, and there's 5 areas that we're performing, and that becomes the actual score that relates back to, whether it's a 5, an excellent, or poor, up and down the ladder, 1 to 5. Then on the 3rd page, we are allowed to give some narrative evaluation, meaning input on, things that we can suggest for improvement in your role, things, that anything that we can recommend. There's like plenty of area for us to offer support or input. And then also at the end, it's just a council member summary. So all of these things, comments will be gathered and then presented to Ms. Silva when we sit down with her on her performance evaluation, which will be done publicly.
Okay, so the HR, Charlie, do you have an HR? Do you know HR?
Intimately so.
Right before I retired, I had a slice of Army HR that covered about 750,000 people. So
I didn't know.
I got farther in it than I just wanted to fly helicopters. I got into a lot of HR over 33 years in the military.
I get it. I work
It is-
for the government.
It is different because how we've done evaluations on managers, the attorney would take these things and he'd tally them up and everything, make sure we did our math right.
Yeah.
And then present us with a
And
sheet.
he could do that. Rich
He could do
is not
that.
going to make it. He called me right about
Yeah.
6 o'clock. That's who I was talking to when you pulled up. And I asked him, do you want me to roll this up or you want to roll this up? He said, whatever they decide is fine.
He said, when I talked to him yesterday, he said, whatever we decide. And since you are the HR manager for the city hall, you have 11 folks that report up to you, or 10, I'm sorry. And, I mean, I'm okay with you
Yeah,
doing it.
I don't
If
have a
Rich
problem
can add
doing it
that
if
to his
that's your
list.
preference.
It's just we have to have one person for the purposes of consistency to manage this stuff, because you'll be doing it with your other employees as well.
Right.
So the first question is, how do you feel about the template?
I would like to say thank you for doing this. I know because I've done it by myself, it's a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
not easy. What I would be interested in doing is comparing this to the job description and see are we missing items that we think we should have in here?
Right. So,
And then-
yeah,
Then the second thing I would say is, to me, this is a living document.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we need our city clerk to become a notary public. That should be in her,
it's in there.
It is.
okay? But not next year. I mean, because she's already one. All right, we need her to go through other training. Did she do that during the year of evaluation?
Yeah.
You know, but we don't need her to do that again the next year. We might need her to go through some different training next year.
Right.
And so to me, this would be a living document that would change over time. Maybe not a whole lot,
Yeah.
but a little bit. It would change over time. So thank you again.
And just so you know, so the original document I used was based on that role. And believe it or not, that role, many city clerks do handle HR and the physical budget. It's in many of their job descriptions. You have to remember, when we started this, Lynn was doing both. So the job description that you're talking about kind of has a lot of that bottled up into it, many of the elements of it that really are now solely Charlie's role. So I think it's an opportunity for us to refresh that job description, change it up a bit. And I think every year, you're right, this changes based on the role, because there could be other things that we add to that position, and even in Charlie's position, or any of the staff in the building, right? It's just we didn't have anything to start with, and I thought that this was a pretty, it was a pretty complete document and then I did take it and go through your contract with a fine-tune pen and try to make sure I pulled things out that were definitely relative to you.
I read over it this afternoon. Madam
And so
Mayor.
that's the other thing, so we'll want you to do a self-assessment with this and share that with us. And then what we'll do is, once we do ours, then we'll do the same with you on everything.
Would you like that emailed to each individual, or should I provide that to City Manager Van Zant to get to you?
I don't know.
I don't think it should happen until the end of the evaluation
Till the
period.
end, yeah, because you do, I remember when I did mine, I think it was either right before we actually sat down and talked, and we did it at the same time of the actual evaluation, so it's a little early yet. Now, the question is, and Rich and I talked about this, the evaluation period. A lot of them I saw where they end on the fiscal year, which is September 30th of, say, 2024. But your actual annual would be through December 17th would be 1 year, which is several months later. He said it was up to us to decide on the evaluation period. So this year, if we took it to September 30th, her new evaluation would be October 1st through September 30th for next year, and then keep it going like
Right,
that
every fiscal year,
afterwards.
yeah.
So it's up to y'all. What
I think
what
we
do
have-
y'all think about that?
We have so much going on with the budget that I'd rather separate the two events, so we can focus more on the evaluation and make it more like December
Oh, okay.
evaluation.
So you're saying the date would be,
When she started.
right, so it'd be December
The month that
18th.
she started.
Yeah,
Yeah, the month,
so-
sometime in the month.
Yeah, so the actual real date, because I have to, based on the references, we have to allow so many days for you all to get it back for the accumulation of the scoring and stuff, based on the formatting. So you're saying then December, evaluation would be December 18, 2023 to December 17th, 2024 would be the evaluation period.
Can I address all of council?
Yes.
I apologize, but the reality of the situation is I can't make my bills today. I cannot wait until December for you guys to either allow me to get a second job or to bump me up to a livable wage. I have to be able to pay my bills. This is the second month I've been late on my mortgage. I have one vehicle payment. I do not live an extravagant lifestyle. I shop at Ross. I cannot afford to not have a second job or to make $41,500. I took a $7,000 pay cut to work here before I was making that much more to run one single function in a department. So it's very hard. This ask is not out of me being greedy. This is an ask for me to have a livable wage that I can afford to keep my home.
With that saying, she got in before I had a chance to say something.
Yeah.
Charlie, on page 3 of the budget,
Uh-huh.
payroll city staff is $350,000.
right?
Does that include you and the clerk?
Yes.
Okay. So if we, personally, I think, and I understand, when I worked at Clay Electric, it was, you were on your evaluation every year when you started. The situation we have right now, we're working on a budget, and we've done it many, many times over the years, but I do not like to do amendments when, on a budget. I mean, the budget's the budget, and then something happens and you have to, not that we don't have the money, we have to pull here and there and make amendments. But I think, and I don't think we could do evaluation before the budget's over with, before you, but if you have to kind of put a ballpark figure in there for a pay raise to be in the budget, and then we can go ahead and do an evaluation. I don't know, that's why we need, I mean, Rich would have been nice to be in
Just to be
here.
clear, what I'm asking of council is already what the state has deemed you are necessarily to have to pay me. So I'm not asking for anything that the state has already mandated that should have happened previously in July.
Right, right.
So could I offer a thought? In both of our contracts, it goes into great detail about how we're going to conduct ourselves. We're not going to bring the city in any kind of bad light, disrepute. I forget all the words. So just simply, until you guys do an evaluation, wherever you land on the date, I don't think it's wrong to do one September 30th and then kick it in annually after that. If I had somebody that I was having a rough time with, which is certainly not Ms. Silva's case, I'd do them about every 90 days. I'd put them on a performance improvement plan, and we'd get together a lot more often on evaluative type criteria. But I would think with Ms. Silva, if you at least said, hey, if you need to go seek out some part-time consulting work, she's not going to let her duties
Right.
fell here. I mean, I've been blessed to have a good working relationship with everybody that works here. All the PW guys, the people that have started since I've started, Stephanie. So I think that would be an easy thing. I mean, we lock the front door at 4 o'clock. She's an early riser. And then again, if something slipped, we could always reevaluate. But I think at least giving her the freedom to go make another few $1,000s a year would be well within your purview. You don't have to have no other job as a city manager or city clerk. It's just the way the contracts
It's the way
were
the
written,
contracts
which
written,
weren't
yeah.
updated since before Scott Cornicky started. We got the same contract with a different date and a different thing that everybody's gotten from.
And I mean, today's economy, it's hard for everybody. I mean, and I'm totally empathetic to your situation. I am fine with you seeking out a part-time job to try to accommodate your situation.
I have a problem with that, and I'll tell you why. Because she took the job, she was a full-time employee in Alachua County. She took this job. I think that the city has enough money to pay this woman a working wage here and not have to seek part-time employment. To me, that's insulting as a citizen in this town. To have the city clerk, which we have not had until now, and all of us except Tony have not, and maybe Dan, have not worked with a city clerk. I think she's done one heck of a job. She's jumped right in. She's been at every event. She has been certified in everything she can be certified in. I'd like to make a motion to increase her salary today and up at least to, I would say, $49,700. Now, she was supposed to get a raise in July. That never happened because we didn't have the fiscal person here to do anything about it. And she got passed right over. Stephanie has been an amazing employee of the city. She's jumped right in and learned every bit of it. And every time I call her, she gets the answer, and if she doesn't, she calls me back with it.
I second the motion.
Discussion.
All right.
She signed a contract. She's done great. I mean, what precedent are we setting if everyone we sign a contract with can come back and say, oh no, I need more money.
But she was supposed to.
Public Works, roads, anyone, fireworks, anyone else who comes to us with a contract and says, oh no, I signed that contract, but that's not really what I meant.
You guys didn't give me a choice to even argue or.
Yes, we did.
No, you didn't. You guys said in the meeting, I can watch it. If she does not accept it at 41.5, offer it to Ms. Durenberger. I did not have an option.
That's true, we did.
I did not
That's
have an
true,
option,
because we
sir.
had options. So you had to make a choice.
And I did, and I'm coming back to you guys now saying that now the choice is, we either have to open my contract, I need a raise to what the state has standard, or I'm gonna have to think about my family.
Okay, so explain to me this standard thing, because I've been backed into a corner before for a pay raise when I was on city council, and I got really angry over that. I don't like being backed into a corner. What is this state thing?
Okay. State.
I don't have that in front of me. It might have been a federal thing. You and I did have this discussion a few months ago with the document. I do believe it was like an executive order under President Obama's administration or something back then that said certain people doing these kind of jobs that are salaried, not getting overtime, July 1st of this year, if we follow that federal whatever it was, I think the minimum she could have made was 45 something, but that's something I can.
Okay, I know all
look-
about that. I got real deep into that and had several conversations. Whatever in that title that you're talking about, through the state and that standard, that person has to be a direct manager with people reporting directly to them. That's part
Yeah,
of
and
the
there were
criteria.
criteria
That's one of the
that-
5 criterias mandatory for that particular entitlement. And that was a much higher salary, because we looked at that on the first round when we were doing the salaries. And then I wanted to get more information on what does that actually mean. And that's one of the things that we recognized, because we had other people that we were looking at putting in that title. So here's the thing. When we looked at this position last year, we didn't really have, we hadn't had a city clerk in a long time. We had a city manager was making right at $70,000 a year, okay? And here we are now, we're gonna add a city clerk, and we're gonna add a new city manager, but not at 70,000 or whatever it was. So we did exhaustive search, I know I did, on salaries, not only nationwide, but in the state of Florida and the local areas. I looked at salary searches just this week, and looked at payscale.com and salary.com. For a starting city clerk, and Stephanie, I really applaud your 10 years at Alachua County. That was one of the edges you had in the role in applying and getting our attention with the government experience. But you came to us with no experience as a city clerk, nor the certification. As a matter of fact, nobody had the certification either. And so the thing is, at that time, the salary that we voted on was around the median salary for someone 1 year in the position, or starting, around 41.5. I just did a search this week, and the median salary for this area, Gainesville area in Florida, for a person with 1 to 2 years, which you now have under your belt, and you are working on your certificate for city clerk, which is awesome, is 4681. That's the median salary. Now you are an above average performer. You're doing an outstanding job. So the 75% mark at this is 46,824. Now, if you go get her certification, she had to join the IIMC, the International, I got the lettering here somewhere, IIMC, and that's a organization that you've already joined, and getting points. You're required to get 60 points in education and another 50 points in experience over the next 2 years.
And I'm already at 32 points gathered.
Excellent. And these are all in accumulation for the role. Part of the way it's worked, and I have the criteria, I can email you all a copy of it, is they have to be a member for 2 years with that organization to show commitment. Once they have done that, then they meet the points at 2 years, which you'll be eligible probably in 2026 sometime, and you become eligible for that, and then they will give you the certification with the 110 points. At that point, you're a certified city clerk. I did the salary search on that with 1 to 2 years, and it's right at 49, 4901, I have copies of it that I printed up. 49 something, I have it right here somewhere. But anyway, it's right at 50,000 for this location. Now, you could go somewhere else and probably make more money, but again, they don't have 1,500 people in their towns, they have 30,000 or something. So I felt confident with the salary we offered at the time. We were offering you basically a new education on the job that you can take into another career path, and opportunity for growth and exposure and all those things. And I agree with Dan, we can't set a precedent. Listen, I totally empathize with you in the situation. But you knew that coming into it, this is the salary and this is what.
I didn't know the economy coming into it, Madam Mayor,
No,
and I apologize.
And I know a lot of
And
people.
I respect everybody's situation, but if this is the route, I will have to start working on a new resume.
Yeah, well, and, I would hate that, okay? But my feelings was to give you a 5% cost of living raise, and then we put you where you're supposed to be once you're certified, and continue doing cost of living raises.
I hear and I respect all of council.
And,
We haven't voted.
Thank you very
I
much.
made the motion.
I still want to discuss.
well, we're still having
We're
comments.
still discussing.
Okay, well,
Yeah, we're still having comments.
All right, I'm going to say a couple things, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm going to think out loud. Okay, when Charlie came in as manager, and I know for a fact, Dan's been around, that door didn't swing out, it rotated
Yep.
when it came to employees. And nothing against anybody, it's just how it was, because we did not pay people a decent, well, some people will argue that fact with me, but you gotta pay people. I mean, even as a businessman, I've had to bite the bullet and pay my people more money to keep them. But my question is, Charlie, when you came on, you brought us figures and stuff about hiring more staff inside. What is the hourly rate for?
I could probably tell you that. Let's go to the spreadsheet.
So you.
I didn't want to put you on the spot. You just give me a
Back in
ball.
the pavilion on June 3rd, we adopted a salary schedule giving the city manager discretion in a salary, an hourly range. Because for the first draft, if you remember back in May, I brought the budget and finance, put some positions in salaries, and you guys were pretty resolute about everybody but the city manager and the city clerk being hourly employee.
Right.
So the range on the front desk is like $15 to $19 an hour. The range on the public works director is like $20 to $30 an hour. There's a range for everybody that you approved. Everybody is working in the range that would support and not exceed the $350 for the city hall people or the $250 for the public works people. So as you get into the budget, you also see I took the cemetery manager after consulting the auditor and put up the not city manager, cemetery director, manager, whatever that PD was, I brought to you guys that you approved to pay out of the cemetery fund. So I've got the money flowing out of the right pots to the right things, and I can provide all of you guys with the ranges of what everybody's in. I don't want to get into discussion there you go. Thank you, Drew.
No problem.
So that's the only salary document you guys have voted on since I've been here. Is that.
So where are you going with this study?
Stephanie, do you know how much you make an hour?
$19.70 some odd cents an hour.
I think it's 1975. Something like that.
Can I say something yet?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, so
Okay,
go
when
ahead.
you all interviewed her and everybody else, y'all didn't know her then. Yeah, you had a resume. Since April, I have seen enough of a superior performance out of her. You offered her one money. Yeah, you're almost a year later, and she needs more money, I can't see why you wouldn't give it to her when we have it.
That's socialistic.
No, it's not. There's no way.
You don't
'Cause you
pay
got an
some- you don't
outstanding-
pay someone based upon what they need.
No, they're based upon her performance. I see her every day.
Yes,
She's more
that's-
worried about everybody else in this place, in the city, than she is herself. That's why she took the
I
job.
agree totally with what you just said. You pay someone based
You
on.
pay on their performance, and that's what she
Right,
does.
Not on their need.
Right, her performance. She's superior.
Okay.
You see her 4th of July, she was out here.
We are not
You see her-
suggesting that just because she needs it, that we're going to
I'm
give
saying
it.
her-
That's what he said. He said based on her need.
No, I didn't.
No,
It's
he
a
did
performance.
not. You said need.
Okay.
I said performance.
Yes, he did say
And
performance.
then if you,
I misheard it.
she goes and builds a new
I
resume,
apologize.
for somewhere else, we're gonna lose somebody that's,
It's not that
It's
I
help-
want to, and it's not a threat against council. It's
I know that. You need
literally,
it.
I'm going to lose my house. I can budget no more. I can budget no more. So either open the contract, and it's a risk that council has to take, that I find a part-time job and that I don't get a better offer. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I don't want to leave. I love this city. I love working here every day. And Mr. Cussler is right. I made sure to fight for Public Works to raise. I made sure to fight for everybody else. Put myself on the back burner until I'm dinging my credit. There is no want or desire for me to come before council and make my business public if it wasn't an emergency on my behalf. You guys have no idea how small this makes me feel to put this out on the public view. And then to hear you guys say you're only worth 41.5, but I've done everything.
I know teachers that make that much, okay, so they live on it. Teachers are in a bad situation, but they do it too. Let me ask this though, it might help. Did the rest of the staff get a cost of living increase this summer in July, or did the rest of the staff get a July pay boost of some kind?
So in the June 3rd meeting, the vice mayor made a motion to give Public Works a 5% raise. I don't remember if it was
Yes,
tagged as
that's
cost
correct.
of living. And you
I
asked
think it
me
was a
when was
cost
the
of
last
living.
time they had a raise, and I didn't know, and I went back and looked, and it was October of 2023. So in the last 12 months, the 6 guys that work in PW have had a 10% increase. I didn't have approval from council till June 3rd of the position descriptions and salary schedules to go hire the project manager, events executive assistant, fiscal clerk, all those things. So those people started within this range where I sat them down and offered them a job at a certain dollar per hour.
Okay, so if the rest of the staff got a 5% cost of living increase, I'm totally supportive of the city clerk getting a 5% cost of living increase. That just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, she was supposed to get a cost of wasn't it a cost of living increase in July?
I can't speak too much on that because Marjorie Coette is the one that provided me with the printout, and I didn't think anything of it. I just gave it to her, put it in their hands because I'm not responsible for financials.
Is that an automatic? So, I mean, I thought the cost of living comes at the end of the 1 year. That's what the contract reads. Contract reads the option for a 0 to 3% cost of living raise, and I've got the contract with me. That's what it says at the time of the 1 year evaluation. So the whole thing about, like you just said, cost of living in June or July, I don't know about what that means. I'm just going based on what the contract reads.
Right. And
Because the other workers are not contracted, it's just Charlie and staff.
Right.
Mayor
So,
Rodroth, in past experiences, that's the only time I've seen a COLA done is in October when the new year rolls around.
Yeah.
A cost of living adjustment.
well, like I said, it just says at the end of the 1 year, the option for a 0 to 3% cost of living increase.
Well, and this 5% that we gave was out of cycle, it was.
Correct.
Right.
Because we thought they had not received a raise.
Right.
There was no documentation.
If we were to give that to her, she'd get a $2,000 a year pay raise, basically.
Correct, so that is correct. If we, let me go to my numbers here.
And I'm not saying that that's the only pay raise, but then when the cycle comes around for evaluation, then we look at whether or not she has merited, has earned through performance, another pay raise.
Well, a 3% puts it at 42,745, 5% puts it at 43,575, 7% puts it at 44,405. And what Stephanie was asking for is basically an 8% increase, and based on the email and detail that I have. And really, the ask is the salary that essentially would be a certified clerk in today's world for the location, based on 2 references that I confirmed.
It's what?
49,000 is the average median salary for a clerk in our area that is certified.
And 2 years
In-
experience.
1 to 2 years of experience, yes.
Well, I'm gonna say one other thing, and nothing against the staff that's here, but my question is, okay, you're making less than $20 an hour, and we as a council agreed on hiring new people, because we needed them, at the rate that the manager requested. And my thing is, okay, you have the executive assistant event coordinator, you've got a project manager, which we've never had, but it's good that we do because they do a darn good job. But you have a city clerk, which to me, you got the manager, you got the clerk. The clerk should be somewhere a little higher than what you've got the other people, the other staff. I mean, that's just my,
It is, on the org chart, it is. I don't have the PowerPoint with me, but it was, when it was presented.
Right. If I could direct your attention to the very top of the
The top.
salary schedule you approved,
okay.
there's a range that you guys adopted that she's not yet met the entry level at. And I went over this with everybody before the meeting. You guys adopted it during the meeting. These were numbers based on my research that I felt good about, where I could offer somebody a job and keep them here. So,
And these are
probably not
numbers that came-
appropriate
yeah.
because you guys hired the clerk.
Right.
But just as a matter of history, Steve Hart, Councilman Hart, made the motions on hiring the clerk and hiring the manager. And the way he made the motion was to offer the clerk the job at 41.5. If she does not accept it, go to whoever the next one was. And that's the exact same thing. So as a council, you felt good because you said, okay, Mr. Attorney, go negotiate with them. But the way the motion was made, there wasn't a way that I mean, I watched the meeting before I negotiated with Rich, but I'm like, okay, if I can either accept the amount they offered me, or it's going to the guy from Clearwater, I don't remember his name,
Yeah.
but that's the way the motion was stated. So, you guys have ample flexibility within the salary schedule that you have. I've always liked the idea of doing a performance evaluation and tying earnings to performance, but you guys actually have to, do that, provide it to me, I'll roll it up, or Rich can roll it up, however you want to go about that. I'm not saying you can't do anything tonight. You're here, it's on here for discussion, so.
So let me add another observation I've had over the years. I, in general, think we do pay low. The city, all the jobs, I think we're on the low side. But I also think on the benefit side, we are way high compared to what I see the teachers and I have to pay for healthcare and for retirement and for all the other benefits. The city is really generous. And so, I've always thought that, well, that's the offset. We pay them lower because we give them such nice benefits. Maybe we ought not to do that. Maybe we ought to look at the total package and say, we're not going to pay such nice benefits anymore, and we will give you more pay. Because that would be more normal compared to other government activities and entities.
Fine by me. I haven't touched the insurance since I've worked here, so that would be okay with me.
Okay, so there you go. That'd be an offset right there. Instead of giving her full insurance and the city paying, I don't know, $500 to $1,000 a month for that, turn around and make that part of her pay instead. Or give her that option. Say,
I
She
think
does.
I think everybody has the
Everybody has an
option to
option
turn down that, if they don't need the insurance, look at Charlie, he's got other insurance that will,
Yeah, I
that
don't have that option
supersedes.
as a teacher.
What I'm
Okay.
telling you though
They
is
do.
the way the contract reads and the way the offer was made,
I didn't have.
my contract says higher salary shall be given in consideration for not taking the insurance, but I'm 53-year-old type 2 diabetic with arthritis. It costs y'all $1,200-1,300 a month to insure me, but that wasn't part of the compensation package because of the way Councilman Hart made the motion. 80, take it or leave it, offer it to the next guy.
I have a question about this. It says city clerk, beginning salary was 44,000, yet how much are you making?
41,500.
See, it's,
Okay, so that was created after we hired. That was 6 months late, that was in June of this year. We hired her last year.
okay, yes.
And that's why, so you looked at your research, and he uses that as a range, and you're right, it's off. But when we all agreed, you got to remember, we came together because we did our own research on what the average salary was for a starting role, and 41 or so was around the salary that we came up with. And that was back in October or whatever we did that last year.
Well, we also never had a city clerk before
You're
then,
correct.
too.
Well, not true, we did.
So,
When
well,
Bob
you
Brennan was
did.
manager, we had a city
You,
clerk.
you did.
Yeah.
But I've never had a city clerk since I've been on council. And I know Tony has, but us three have never dealt with a city clerk before, so.
I think we've stumbled on a solution if we want to figure out how to legally make it happen. And the solution is, if she doesn't need the medical, we figure out how much we're paying, 1,000 or,
I'm literally not getting rid of the medical. It's literally, honestly, I shouldn't have to get rid of medical to continue to work here. Let's just be honest. I
Okay.
shouldn't have to get rid of, I mean, if I fall at one of your events, I need to be
Yeah.
able to go to a hospital.
okay, so let me ask this, do you have any other source for medical coverage?
No, I can barely
Oh, okay,
afford my
okay.
regular, like,
All right. I just thought, see, like in Charlie's case, he has another source. So that's why he would not need medical. I thought maybe through your spouse, you might have had another
no.
source.
He also is a working
Okay,
individual.
okay. Well, that's not a solution then.
Are we through discussing?
Well, you have a motion on
I
the
do.
floor you've
We
been
do.
discussing, so you need to act on that motion.
We need to
Restate the
Restate
motion,
the
maybe.
motion.
It's been a while.
Okay, yes, now I forgot what it was. No, I said I'd like to make the motion to increase city clerk's,
Salary to 49,700 is what I have written.
thank you. Now, we
I
can,
second it.
yes, and Mr. Cussler seconded it. And then, Tony, you start talking with about discussion.
I feel like this is a no-win situation. I really want to help her, but at the same time, that's too much money.
Did you get the list of things that I've already accomplished in my short 8 months here? That
I-
your current or your past city
I
clerks
agree.
never even.
It's all education.
I have never worked for any company or any government agency that would do such thing. Never in my 40-plus years. They would laugh me out of the room if I asked them that.
Well, I'm hoping that council
Well-
can see fit not to laugh me out of the room. That would be wonderful.
We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that because you're a really good person.
I certainly
She's a
thought
good
so.
worker.
Yeah.
She's a good employee, and she's been to
She
every
is.
single event all day long. And she has all these certifications. There's pages of certifications this woman has attended. I don't think anybody working here prior ever got this many certifications.
I-
And she did it all by herself.
I
mean,
have 4
she-
master's
you know.
degrees, I have 2 FAA certifications,
we're not
and I
talking
don't
about
pay...
you.
We're not talking about
No,
you.
no, just as an example, I don't get paid a dime more than any other teacher. In fact, I get paid less because I have fewer years teaching.
And,
So it doesn't matter how many certifications you have if you have a contract that says this is what you get paid. That's how teaching works.
I have a question, Mayor. On the sheet that, the salary schedule at 44,000, the manager put in there. and I'm not asking to change your motion, I'm again thinking out loud. If that's already there, if we went with adding that to her salary and making it instead of 41, what is it?
41.5.
41.5, and do the 44 until her year is up for a full evaluation, and then we address it then.
I personally like that, because that's really close to the 5%.
And I got a high school diploma, that's
Hey.
all I got.
What your education is, that's just a really good proposal. I like it. You know?
So what you're saying basically is a bridge strategy is move
He's
to move
already
her.
got it in here.
And that's what I was getting at. I mean, that's exactly what until her evaluation, because, I mean, we're just talking about evaluation in the city, evaluating and her salary in one meeting. I mean, it's gonna take a little bit of negotiation, but I agree that in the meantime, if we did, Tony, if we did up it to the beginning salary, and when her evaluation comes around in December, and then we can renegotiate that.
So would you be willing to withdraw your motion and make a new one for 44,000?
I would like to see 45, because of all her certifications how active she's been in this city role. And basically, she was the only one here before Charlie got here, who had any really experience, except for the public works guys. And she's jumped right in. She's jumped right in. I'm extremely impressed with her, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my words. With her performance thus far. And I think it can only get better. She's got great ideas. She's always thinking out of the box. She's a fresh set of eyes for the city of Keystone. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, I think would be a total embarrassment for this council to allow her to go out and get a second job because she can't work here and make a living wage.
So I have two clarifications. So the evaluation period would be December 18, 2023 through December 17, 2024. Is that what you guys are saying? Versus being
Well,
September 30th?
that's when we decided, yes, to
do
make
the-
it in
to do the
December
PE.
instead, yes.
Gotcha, okay. So we got that straight. Okay. Now, the second thing would be to clarify, move staff immediately to say 45,000, which is less than mid-range, effective immediately.
Madam
Correct?
Mayor, I apologize. Do we need to withdraw the initial motion that the vice mayor made to move to increase the 49.7 before you can?
I can do that.
I thought you just did that, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it was suggested. I withdraw the motion that I made earlier. Is that all I need to say?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Cussler, do you withdraw your second?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
don't want to, but
Tony, were you going to say something?
Well, I know more money would help, but I'm really stuck on that 44,000 because it's already on paper and it's already been, and I personally think that if we can get by with that until evaluation in December, I just, because it's already there, it was already planned for. So, I mean, that's just my feeling on that, so.
Okay.
We can, I'll put it this way, doing this a long time, since this is already here, and people in the community start asking us, you went above, why did you go above, and on, it's already here. We can say, it was already figured out, it's on black and white, and with the understanding come December, whatever it was, we do the evaluation. And then we'll have to do the amendment to the budget, correct? If we gave her a.
Well, I'll make sure that the
That's in the budget?
budget number will sustain whatever you guys direct tonight, but the floor's open for a motion if you want to do something with the salary or put her at whatever dollar figure one of you makes the motion for.
I make a motion that we do the 44,000 as presented on this salary schedule.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and that would be effective September 1st?
I would make it, maybe we have to do this another motion, but I'd even be willing to make it retroactive to August 1st.
We don't, council members do not feel the need to have to do that. I'm perfectly happy with it being on the next paycheck, especially since we just had the new fiscal department start. I don't want to put any undue stress on her.
Okay, and just, I did quick math, that equates to about $208 more per month.
That would be more than helpful, and that would be extremely helpful, rather.
Well, it should be.
I don't think it
effective-
would be that difficult for the fiscal
Yeah.
person to go back 1 month.
I know, but I don't want to put any stress on the council, and
We got it. If y'all want to go to 1 August, we'll make that happen.
Okay, great.
I'm good with that.
I do.
That's fine.
I want to thank the council for
That
talking
makes me
this
feel
through.
better.
This is not easy.
No.
I'm glad we can help you out.
may I ask a few questions about the evaluation? I'm happy to see it. It will be my first evaluation since teaching, believe it or not, so it's been 15 years. Did you guys do like an entry evaluation for me? What is this all going to just be based on? I don't want this conversation to affect our working relationships.
It never will.
I
It
need
should
to be a
not.
little more positive.
Okay.
Okay, money is not fun.
So I want to say, and I'm very empathetic to your situation, and it takes a lot to, it's hard because we have to be public.
Absolutely.
Because it's a very intimate conversation, really. And so I appreciate you sharing, because it's very hard. I personally didn't want to share all that in public for you, okay? I think you've done an incredible. I can't even underscore that enough. I mean, you were here when Charlie arrived, and he didn't know, I mean, it was a mess. It
Couldn't
was.
spell the word
You know, and the two of you together, and now where we are, I'm so excited to see where we're going. But, you know, we want to be fair. And you know, I want to also be fair to all of our staff. You know, and I'm glad Charlie did this for us. I wish we'd have had this last fall, but we didn't. And we had to go with what we could find. And I think we made the right decision when we did then, and then all we can do is grow from that decision. But never feel like there's any hard feelings or anything like that.
No,
at
and I
all.
just wanted to
Or
clarify with council,
perception,
this is.
or how it affects anything.
Not at all personal
No.
on my end either, at all. In fact, I hope you guys didn't hear the shakiness in my voice the entire time I was having to discuss this.
But I think the plan would be then, when we look at this, so I changed those dates, and then basically, council would get this within 2 weeks prior to the
Okay.
planned time to do the evaluation and complete it, and get it, say, to either to Charlie or to Rich, to gather all of the data and average it, and then we will sit down with you. You'll have a time, too, to do a self-assessment yourself with the same.
And I wait until the city manager would instruct me to do that.
Yeah, well, we have to do it as a schedule. We have to, because there'll be a date on the front of it.
Okay, perfect. I just
showing-
want to make sure I don't do anything ahead of time, out of pocket, or backwards.
Yeah, because he'll have so much time to get us together to take it, and hopefully, I'd say by January 1, we can have a sit-down and review all the details based on the dating, if it's going to be December 17th, because of everything going on.
Not a problem.
Sometime in early January is going to be my guess, and we'd sit down and have the review with you, and have you give us your feedback, and, you know,
And the review is public, so does that need to be a special meeting?
I have no idea till we get there.
I'll look
We
into
can
that
ask
and make
ask Rich about that.
Normally it has been.
I
suggestion.
think it probably is, yeah, just like the interviews were.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm-
That'll alleviate a little stress there.
Yeah, I'm projecting that it would be within the first 2 weeks of January that we'd actually do the formal review, based on the timeline right now. And certainly, once you receive your, you know, you continue to get your I call it continuing education toward the certification, you know, that certification will be a nice increase of pay, a nice jump in pay.
Absolutely. And I'm well on track. After this summer, or I'm sorry, after the fall academy, I'll only have 40 more credits to earn. So I'll have all my credits well before my 2-year mark.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
You're
thought that was
impressive.
interesting how they do
You're a hard
that.
worker. You do excellent work. We appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll take care of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for council for hearing me out.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for all your input on that. It was a good conversation. Next, any council
Thank you for
comments?
disagreeing professionally.
Yeah.
No, it's a skill many councils don't have.
Yeah. No, it's
Good
fine.
I almost threw something at you. No, I'm kidding.
I did it many years.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't take nothing personal, and I do it for many years.
No,
No, I appreciate you guys. I really do.
don't take anything personally.
Any comments, council comments at all?
I would like to say that you do a phenomenal job, and I've learned a lot from you. And I appreciate what you've done so far. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
I don't plan to go anywhere, but if I
Good.
seek a second job, I will
Good.
do so. I don't want to leave. This is an excellent opportunity for me, and I meant every word I wrote in my letter to each of you.
Tony, you had some comments?
I want to give an attaboy to Bo and Public Works. As you know, I do walking in the mornings, and there's an old tree limb that kept getting lower and lower to the sidewalk. And all I had to do is mention it, and it's already gone. The other thing is, the other night I had to call, and you like this, I had to call because there was unfortunately a homeless man getting ready to take residence on a porch in my neighborhood at about 10:30 at night.
Oh, wow.
And I sat in my living room and I watched to see what he was doing. And when he pulled out the cardboard to lay down, I said, that's not good for that business owner to come in there in the morning and see that. So I called the sheriff's department, and they were there in 3 minutes. I timed them,
Wow.
2 of them, and he moved on.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have that in our town, and unfortunately, there's people out there that don't have anywhere to live, and that's sad. And but our staff is exceptional. I mean, you go to the Florida League of Cities dinners and all that, and see how everybody gets together and work, and our team that we have here is become very, awesome. I use that word a lot, it's awesome. So we do have a good, awesome team. So I'll shut up.
So I'm going to continue the party here and give kudos to Craig Coons in the airport. As you probably know, I am a full-time now aerospace teacher at QI Roberts. Every single one of my classes is about flying, about space, about engineering, and we received a bunch of money that we have never received in the past, and I now need both the flight school at Palatka Airport and the flight school at the Keystone Heights Airport in order to spend all this money to get my students flying. I have that much money.
Wow, that's great.
And so Mr. Kuhn supported us, as did Mr. Grant Hooks, the owner of Distinguished Flyers. And pretty much every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the entire school year, I'm going to have students at both airports flying airplanes.
Great.
Yeah, so kudos to Keystone Heights Airport and their support of high school students flying.
Are you going to be live streaming any of your events?
No, we're not.
You're not gonna want to see those.
I was just curious. I was like, that would be kind of neat to put up there.
So this is a double-edged sword. There are only, I think, 6 counties in the whole state out of 67 counties that allow students at high school to fly airplanes. The rest of the counties, the rest of the school districts are risk adverse, and they will not allow it. And so this is something that our students are having a fantastic opportunity to do. I've been doing this now 4 or 5 years, and my students normally get about 3 hours of flying time. My core group of 20 plus students are each going to get 15 to 20 hours of flying time. So it's a huge increase. But we are, how do I say? We're keeping it on the low, the down low a little bit. So I shouldn't even be talking about it right now.
Yeah.
I'm regretting now talking about
Can you erase that?
It's not too much on the download, Dan.
Yeah, that's the download.
The cat's out of the bag.
I wasn't thinking.
You're
But-
talking about the model aircraft, right?
Right, the RC, the remote
Yeah.
control
Planes.
stuff out there. Anyway, the airport's doing great. Thank you, Mr. Coons.
Excellent. I've been gone a lot, vacation things, personal, but I did attend the Florida League of Mayors meeting down in Hollywood last week, and great meeting. I typically just go for the mayor's side of it because I'm on the board of directors, and I get the opportunity to attend some educational seminars that are support for me to reach out to them to come to our city and provide some of the education. And we're getting ready to have a host, I don't know if it's the first one ever, but Veterans Breakfast this year in November for our veterans. So Drew and I are already working on some of the details with that to host a breakfast for them. Part of that will be an educational opportunity there to share with them some of their benefits as a result of being Florida citizens under the direction of Governor DeSantis and the programs he has available for them. So I'm going to make them aware of what some of those benefits are, including their little benefits booklet. And also this last time, there's a big focus on mental health with our veterans and the suicide rate. That's some stuff I'm going to share as well, and potentially have one of the vets who's part of that effort to come speak to them. So it was a good meeting. I always learn meeting around with these other folks and share similar experiences that they have in their cities as well. So it's a great way to grow, I think. But that's kind of my latest that I've done. Mr. Van Zant?
Did we get all the way
Everything
down?
done?
She passed
I
us
think
over.
I thought both you all already talked. No, I don't think so.
Usually you make me start, and I would have said the same thing Tony said. That's why Tony jumped on
I don't
it.
know why I thought both you all
Well,
already
I
talked.
went down to the beach yesterday. Hasn't been that much going on since the tropical storm, and I did chair the last month's meeting, and it was an hour.
I know.
I've got to brag a little bit on that. It only lasted an hour. But I went down to the Keystone Beach with Stephanie, and I walked over there, and it was fun. It was interesting, them shooting the commercial at the Keystone Beach. I was very proud of the city for having that little event happen. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say.
I did the same thing before I went to another meeting. I went down there, I got to pet Taffy, the dog in the thing. I was really proud that they drove through and saw it, and they wanted to make a commercial there. It is special. It is special out there, and I felt really good about it. That's why I'm glad to see the city is getting happier. We're happier, and we just got to keep it up. And that's why, and I had one of my captains I worked for when I was in the Navy, and always catch them doing something good. You're on them all the time,
Yeah.
but always catch them doing something good. And that's where you got a special person there, Bo, and I have not yet, when I asked a question and have not got an answer, or I say, hey, I got somebody that notified me on this, and it's taken care of. I never had to redo it.
So maybe I need to make an apology here too. We had a really good guy in the front office there, Ark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I say you do have a suspicion.
Don't get me into
I stole
monitoring.
it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I stole it.
It's a beautiful gift that you've offered him. That's a career for him, for sure.
Yeah, you gotta talk to these people sometimes.
He's only like one test away from getting his commercial license, by the way.
Oh, that's outstanding.
22 years old.
He's very impressive, gentleman.
So he's gonna be teaching at my school, and he's teaching one of the aerospace courses.
Now, Mr. Van Zant.
I get to go first. So,
I'm sorry,
sorry.
I'm not looking at my list.
So I know about a month ago, and I'm getting up because I have something to show you. I emailed you guys all about cybersecurity and the importance of taking the class. And here's a real life example of why. This was emailed to all of us, all of your employees, and had we not caught it and realized it is a fake invoice, the city would have $13,000 less today. This was caught today, this morning by me. please, if you have not taken your cybersecurity course that me and the mayor have already taken, please do so. If you look, the email itself was written by Mr. Charlie Van Zant Jr., which was a strict giveaway because Mr. Van Zant never sends anything with a junior. If you look at the email address itself, it's .execs.
Yeah.
We know we are not .execs, we're US. They're getting better and more talented at this.
Yeah.
So it is important for us and our employees to do
Speaking of
that
that,
course.
did anyone else get an email from Cheryl Owen?
I didn't.
No.
Not, I don't think so. You mean like?
No, another scam.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you know Cheryl Owen?
Yeah, I know Cheryl.
Yeah, okay, so I got an email. Someone hacked into her email account.
Really?
Yes, and they tried to get money out of me.
Oh, really? No, I didn't get one.
Is she a government? Does she work for city government? Oh, she just.
She used to run the farmer's
She
market.
used to work, be on Heritage Commission.
Yeah, she used to
Oh,
be
they're
all
hacking
soft and all.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You just gotta be really smart.
Nothing surprises
You
me.
gotta always look at your email address.
Yep. Good.
All right, are we
okay.
done?
All right, Charlie.
All right.
We have to get to Charlie.
I think we've exceeded our attention span, so I will be very brief. I do want to send you home with one more handout. Here are some one-time expenses. The ones in black I've discussed with each of you, and we discussed among the three that were at the last meeting. The ones in blue are things that the city needs. All of these are non-reoccurring expenses. These are once every 15, 20, 30-year kind of things. And with a budget excess and the $384,000 in your public funds that needs to be obligated, I'm not trying to rush anything. As I showed in the budget, unless one of you tells me differently, I'm going to put that ARPA funding in the general fund, document it to the appropriate authorities, and then that'll be office, and we can go through these through your already adopted purchasing policy, and just continue to march. But I'm going to leave you with those, and if anybody has great heartburn with anything, just please let me know, and I'll amend it and bring you something back to like vote on and give me direction as we get RFPs written and all this is dress right dress. Y'all pass one down, I will not belabor any more points. And if any member of the public would like anything you've seen me give them, I got lots of copies all scattered out here.
So these items are not in the current budget that you've given us.
That dollar figure is a worst case scenario, and that non-reoccurring ARPA funding was at $384,000.
Yeah.
So all of that can be done,
In
and
the
funds
budget.
can be drawn either out
Sorry, the
of
vendor's already.
the ARPA or out of like CIP, furniture, vehicles, those kind of capital improvements.
I don't see any Christmas kiosks on this list.
You just tell me the guy and we'll figure out where it's gonna go.
Okay.
My understanding is we're starting with one.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Are we done? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Great job.